Hello, hello, my spirited living friends. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. For those who tune in live, I'm so sorry. I'm very, very late today. It's been a wild day. Oh, exciting, all good stuff, but a little much. I'm Deborah Roth from Spirited Living, obviously, and I actually leave tomorrow for the long holiday weekend to my 45th college reunion. So do the math and you'll know exactly how old I am. I've never hidden it. And I just got swept away with all the zillions of things I need to do to be out of here. However, once again, as I've dived into the latest, again, not a goddess figure, but she came up, or this festival came up when I was looking at what goes on this time of year. This there were just so many synchronicities with this, as always. So the way that I've put this out there is the way that I first found out about this festival, which takes place in France on May 24th and 25th. And I found out about this Mothers of Arles, which is one thing that was called, and I got that, and I send you, oh my goodness, I send you, oh my goddess, I send anyone who loves all this divinely feminine magical stuff to Z Budapest's work and books, and this one is really old, but it's called The Grandmother of Time, and she's got one, Grandmother of Moon. She's got a ton of books. But the Grandmother of Time, she gives different festivals celebrated around the world. And she mentioned this Mother of Arles as an 8-day festival that goes on this time. What she says about it, let's see, goes from May 24th to May 28th. It celebrates the triple goddess, which is interesting when you hear what it's actually about. Celebrated mostly by the Gypsies. It is definitely, that part's definitely for real. Called the Three Maries or Marys of the Sea. And Gypsies gather from all over the world to celebrate this festival. And what's interesting is that when I went to Google that and find out more about this Mother of Arles, did not find anything called that, but instead, and this is clearly where Z got her information about this, found something called, let's see, I don't even know what they call it, but it is they talk about it being a 2-day festival at the Church of Les Saintes Marie, I don't speak French, de la Mer. And they venerate, it's a beautiful church in France, and gypsies from all over Europe and further congregate there in these 4 days, actually the 24th and 25th of May, to venerate their kind of personal, their patroness, their goddess, who is Saint Sara, also known, and those of you, if you watched last week's video, also known as the Black Sara. She is one of those Madonnas, one of those Black Virgins, Black Madonnas, who has always been pictured with dark skin. And most of the Gypsy tribes have darker skin. So just coincidentally, after doing my Inner Goddess Team video last week on the Black Madonnas, find out that this is yet another one. And the story with Sarah, and really she came to be celebrated, and this festival started in the Middle Ages, really, is that after Christ died and Christians were being persecuted and prosecuted, their followers fled Palestine, fled Israel, and many of them, and particularly many of the women, came to France, and there's all kinds of evidence around France that these very early Christians appeared there. And so Sarah was actually the handmaiden, or the I don't know, doesn't seem right to call her a maid, but she was a traveler, and she was connected with the two Marys, the Saint Mary Jacobe and Saint Mary Salome. and she was their companion. And I think because of her wandering spirit, and because of and they were travelers. That was a far way to go in any time, but certainly in ancient times, to travel from Palestine all the way to France. And so something, and it's not very clear exactly how she became this patroness of gypsies from all over, but all the different tribes. The gypsies are often called the Rom, as in Romani, or Gitan, Gitan, is a name that's given to all gypsies. Some of the other kind of gypsy names or tribes. Let's see if I can find them here. I might not have copied all that out. But they all come together, and it's just this, the way that several of the places that I read about it was so fascinating. There's just this intense religious fervor. They dance in the streets, and they make a procession down to the sea, and then they go into this church, the Church of La Sainte Marie de la Mer. Maybe that's how you say it. I'm sorry to any French speakers out there for, crucifying it, so to speak. And they descend on this little town, and they camp out in the streets in their caravans and on the squares and on the beach. And it's where all of these friends and family that are part of the Rom, a part of the Gypsy, the Gitan community, come together and reunite. And they, for centuries, for millennia probably, the Rom have been persecuted. They've been not trusted. They are nomads. They spend their time on the road. Their home is the road, and they have been wherever they stop, to make camp. If it's near a town, they're often cast out and they're told to go home. But their home is the wandering path. That's who they are. And so they've dealt over their history with a lot of persecution and excuse me, and bigotry. And there were just some beautiful pieces about how, and when you see, for the church not to honor their devotion is really kind of sad. And on the 24th and 25th, they do Sara's procession to the sea with all this wild dancing and festive, being festive. And then on the Sunday closest to October 22nd, apparently is another time that they do this. But here's a picture of one of the processions with the two Marys, the Mary Jacobe and the Mary Salome. I don't know how well you can see that. And for some reason, Sara is depicted as dark-skinned, as black. So the procession takes her down to the sea. They go inside the church, and the special boxes, the reliquaries that all of her relics, the Saint Mary or Saint Sara's relics are kept, are brought down, and lots of songs and praises. And the statue of Sara is carried down to the sea, symbolizing the waiting for and welcome of Saints Mary Jacobe and Mary Salome. So the day's procession is very much in honor of Sara and the Gypsies. And on the 25th, there's a very solemn mass that there's a boat with the two Marys on board that's borne out to the sea, accompanied by a crowd of gypsies and non-gypsy pilgrims. The bearers go into the sea to symbolize the arrival of Saints Mary Jacobe and Salome. So they return to the church with lots of joy. They come back from their journey to the sea, lots of musical instruments, the sound of bells, and lots of prayers and a public fervor. It sounds kind of like an ecstatic celebration of these three saints, of the two Saint Marys, and of Saint Sara, Black Sara. So I think for me, reading about her, what struck me, and I'll read you some of the beautiful things that they said. is that she is someone, Saint Sara, Black Sara, is someone to call on when you want to either um, bring up in yourself or create it in your environment an attitude of acceptance, an attitude of inclusion and patience, and offering welcome and a sense of home to travelers. And I say that because of the Gypsy history, because of the way that Rom have been treated all over the world. And so my invitation for you would be to invoke the Black Sara when you want to open up your heart and maybe those people around you to accept wanderers that may be the other, that may be different than you. And this is some of what I read. There's a beautiful prayer for Saint Sara, and this beautiful piece. And as always in my YouTube description, I'll include the links here, and also the chant that I'll share with you that just bubbled up for me to do with you. So let work within you the mercy of the Saints Maries de la Mer, where the poor are honored, the rejected welcomed, the unloved comforted. Forget just the pilgrimage or a too short visit. We would like that you become one of those for whom the arrival of the caravans is a promise of joy. That's what in its nativete, the Rome people's beautiful prayer expresses, and this is their prayer. So welcoming strangers into your home town, into your home area, as in a joyful way. And this is the prayer to Saint Sara. Saint Sara, set us on the right path, give us your beautiful luck and give us health. Et donne-nous la santé. And if someone thinks bad of us, change his heart so that he thinks good of us. He, she. Amen. That's the prayer to Saint Sara. And I'm not quite sure why, but this is the chant that came up for me, because it is kind of this witchy, joyful one. And also, interestingly enough, created by the same woman who I sang the chant for last week for the Black Madonna. Didn't intend it that way. It just seemed that these two chants seem to be wonderful ones for Black Sara and last week the Black Madonnas. And it goes like this. Sacred women circle round, she calls us to remember. She comes to us within our dreams and holds us close and tender. Women chanting, snaking round, she works her magic powers, teaching us to shed our skin and weave this sacred hour. Sacred women circle round, she calls us to remember. She comes to us within our dreams and holds us close and tender. Women chanting, snaking round, she works her magic powers, teaching us to shed our skin, to weave this magic sacred hour. That just seemed to invoke the magic and the joy and the mystery of the Ram of the Gypsies. So I invite you to stay open to whatever mysteries, whatever new people move into your life, and keep an open heart and an open mind as you welcome them in. Thanks so much for being with me. Please do leave comments, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the YouTube page. Just look for Deborah Roth, and you can click on the little eye in the corner, and you'll hear more about my journey with the Divine Feminine and why I've been doing these things and what exactly the Divine Feminine is. And stay in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and especially love to hear from anyone who's had experiences with any of the Black Madonnas, or maybe even been to this festival that's happening today and tomorrow in France for the Black Sara. Thanks so much for joining me all. See you next week. Bye for now.